Hello everyone, this is Flora and this is my web technology lab experiment number 9. So what we have to do today is we're using a technology called AJAX. Now what is AJAX? AJAX is a client-side script which communicates with server or database without a complete refresh. Now if you see usually in a web page, when you click something, it refreshes and it goes to another. But if you see Facebook, you have dynamically content changing at the edges, at the corners. Now what is that? That is done using AJAX. So AJAX will dynamically change the contents, and what it does, it actually communicates with the server and gets its data and replaces the content which is present. So it just updates maybe a part of web pages that ever which we will need without reloading the entire page. Now today's experiment, we're going to continue with our experiment number 8. It's going to be the same thing, but while registering, what we have to do is we have to check whether we are whether that username already exists. Rather, if you see in our previous code, what we do for registration is, if at all the person is already present, we just throw an error saying username is already available. So rather than just waiting till we load our web page, in this experiment we're going to dynamically show whether the person already exists. So that is done using AJAX. If you see the syntax in AJAX, there's something we call using XML HTTP request. Now what is XML HTTP request is it's an API. XML HTTP request is an API which is available to web browser scripting languages such as JavaScript. JavaScript we have already done in previous. It's a scripting languages for whatever for our anime, which we use for animations and other things. So we've used we're using XHR. It's an API for JavaScript which is used to send HTTP and HTTPS requests to a web server and load the server response back. So what it does, it sends the request, whatever we're sending a query, it sends the request, then it loads the reply and it's displayed. So what does actually AJAX full form stands for asynchronized JavaScript and XML. So it's only a part of AJAX that only needs to use XML HTTP request, or it's an object of JavaScript. So if you come back to our experiment, wherein experiment number 8. So if we run the file, if you see, okay, yeah, we have experiment number 8 where we had register.php. Now if you read the code that we have, what we have done is we use the get method, and then we have another PHP called username check, and then we are passing the string. So username, we are passing for the username. Now username, if you see, username is the name of the text box, and then we're passing the string, and this is just for testing. I've used the console.log, and we're passing the string to username.check. So what happens in username hyphen check is it retrieves the data whatever you've sent. If suppose I say FLO, it takes the value, and then at that time, on that spot, it retrieves the data from the database and compares whether there's such a username already exists or not. Now if you come back to register.php, this function is called during on blur. So whenever we after entering, when we leave the text box on blur, this function is called dynamically, and all these things are executed. Now if you see ready state equal to 4, so there are a lot of status and ready state, like we have 4.4 page not found. Similarly 2.0 is to say that everything is okay. So if you come back and if you see, I already have a register person called Flora in my thing, in my database. So when I press Flora, if you see, there's another line which is over here which says Flora username is not available, because in our database we already have a username called Flora. Now how is this done? That dynamically it is it adds a space over here, and all of this is done. So if you see, if we can check our thing using inspect. If you come to inspect, and if you try to analyze what is happening in the backend, maybe the picture gets clearer. So if you if you come over here and if you check, if you go to network, so what actions are happening now for every if I like we already had a username called xyz, so let's try that xyz. And once we move up on blur action, you will see xyz username not found. Now if you see in this network, it is calling this xhr is calling username.check. But if you see in our register.php, we are directing all the information to registration.php. If you see registration.php, we are not even directing to username.check. So how is that done? Is because on dynamically, when we remove it from the text box, it's calling username.php, wherein all the actions are takes place. So this is how lab experiment 9 we use AJAX. Thank you.